right. Should be up and running now. Should be able to hear me. Should be able to see charts. We got about 6 minutes until the close, so we'll definitely check on the Qs and SPY once we get the closing bell. Let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for April 12th, 2022. Qs down 1/3%. SPY also down just about 1/3%. IWM has shown a little bit of relative strength, up almost 0.4%. All right. Starting off today, we had a gap up in the Qs and SPY, pretty decent gap up, and it got sold. So as we talked about yesterday about igniting gaps, this should have been an igniting gap to the upside if the Qs were going to be bullish. Now, as you know, coming into today, we were bearish on the Qs and SPY, but this was an impressive gap. This was an impressive gap, and the fact that it got sold, okay, it doesn't change our bias at all. You could say it could confirm our bias or reinforce it, all right, because we were already bearish and we gapped up. We didn't really clear anything in doing so. I mean, we did clear yesterday's high, but we didn't do enough to end the hourly downtrend that we're in. Okay, so that means for tomorrow we're going to stay bearish, okay, because this gap up, no follow through really, and Qs and SPY continued lower. So bearish overall, but for tomorrow, because of the move that we've got, I wouldn't be surprised if we gap up a little bit or we move up a little bit at the open, and then in the afternoon maybe get more weakness. Now, if we gap down tomorrow, especially if it's a big gap down, then I would expect a temporary bounce at the open, okay, because we already got multiple red bars down in a row. And then if we gap down a significant amount, same with the SPY, then I think a temporary bounce at the open, but then probably continuation into the afternoon and the rest of the week. Okay, so bearish going into tomorrow, but we are multiple bars down, a little bit extended. Okay. All right, let's get into the plays from today. Very first play was the PTE for me. Here was the gap on this. So trying to end that downtrend. Penny stock. If you've been in the room lately, you know we've been begrudgingly playing them more just because the setups have been good and the follow-throughs have been decent. So I did try this PTE at the open as a high-low, kind of this breakout here, 3-bar breakout you could call it, or on the 2 minutes going to be a high-low. And then I did trail it to under 38. Now, this actually would not have stopped if I stuck with the original, and it kind of worked. So, you know, I don't really love my management here on this one, but it was pretty difficult. And then with a lot of these, especially penny stocks, you know, getting out late can kind of be costly because this was only like a 5-cent stop. I think it got in like 38 something or 39 by, yeah, 35, so like a 4-cent stop. So yeah, I mean, it's fine on the PTE. It did get the move. Yeah, I guess it gave about 2 Rs there on that run up. I obviously had already gotten shaken out of it, so I got out of it here. And see, the way that it kind of, I got out of it doesn't really suggest that it was a shakeout either, because it actually continued a little bit more and then kind of like hours later set up the move. So that's fine. That's going to happen. You know, if I had done an all or nothing trade, yes, I probably would have been able to get at least a 2-hour target, initial target, but it's fine. I think on this, a little bit could have done better, but I think I'm not that disappointed on that one. NYov was the next one. This was a base breakdown right in here. Okay, at this time, there were actually 2 shorts that were working out. Sammy gave you numbers for both. NYov has a breakdown there, and then the Wolf, which worked much better. And of course, I ended up playing NYov only because I wasn't sure about the Wolf because of the, this was a 1, 2, 3. because of the fact that it was a secondary. So there's your initial igniting bar, inside bar, and then continuation. So nice cell setup, and then a 1-2-3 continuation pattern there on the wolf. But I did play the NYov, was able to get some out on the break in the afternoon. Finally, you know, I was on the mic, and when this was kicking back, and I was saying how, you know, that there's nothing really I can do with this. We'd had this discussion about how do you define pivots, and for me, as a 15-minute, not that I trail off of pivots, but if I was, you know, this wasn't really a 15-minute pivot. This was, though. And eventually the hourly did finish forming, so I did trail to 11:01 is what I used. So, and then it was up about an hour and a half. Sorry about that, that's kind of loud. Up about an hour and a half down there, took half, and then trailed over the hourly, which was like 10:30, and I gave it 10:31, I gave it to 10:33. Okay, so that at least recovered the PTE, and pretty, like, I don't know, made more on twice that, whatever I lost on the PTE, so that was fine. And then the end of the day was this HSTO. HSTO here was kind of like a late find into the end of the day. That was played over 38. Now the reason it wasn't played on the initial break was because I saw that it did this false breakout earlier where it broke out and then gut slammed, so I want to make sure that wasn't going to happen again. So I just want to see it break. If it doesn't get slammed, okay, then I'll play over the next new high. So that was the entry there. Was looking for like 55 on this, to 55, but you can see it didn't get there. I don't know if it's going to get there in the after hours. I have no experience in dealing with penny stocks in the after hours, so I decided to take the whole, or trail the whole thing. So yeah, on the nice run up here, we took half at 43, another quarter at 44, and then the last piece came out just under 44 as a 2-minute trail. So 2-minute trail was nice, except the bars got a little bit bigger there at the end. That made it a little bit more difficult. Okay, but under 44 there, like I said, just under 44 was the last quarter. Got trailed out of it, but a lot of relative strength, of course. Market was at the lows in the afternoon. This got a huge pop. And then nice price compression here on the hourly. You know, lows getting higher. Highs here are relatively equal. So I just, you know, like I said, played it as kind of like a secondary break. Hopefully the first break holds. If that holds, then I'll play. So, you know, I could have gotten in a little bit earlier. Like I think it was like 30 over 36. But I was like, okay, I want to make sure it doesn't fail right away. So I did 38 instead. Okay, so over 38. Okay. So it was, and then the stop was at 33. Okay. So not that big of a play, honestly, on the HSTO, but not a bad way to end the day. Okay. All right. So there were some things out there to do today. I think it was a little bit slow, maybe in the middle, but at the open, and then towards the end of the day, a little bit here and there. Okay. So hopefully you're able to take some of these calls and have a decent day. All right. So that's going to do it for today's market wrap. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Qs and SPY here are going to close pretty much towards the bottom. So everything we talked about before still applies. All right. And we'll be back at it tomorrow. Talk to you then.